watching T4K TV.
On this episode of T4K TV, we are with twin brothers Oliver and Xavier, whose mother Gina has quite a story to tell us about them.
They are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and a secondary sensory processing disorder. They were diagnosed at 2.5. We actually had noticed some red flags starting around 19 months and made sure to start early intervention at that point. They had been receiving, at the 19 months, some sort of therapy since 19 months. In our house that had 2 small children, you would not have known we had 2 small children unless you heard laughter, which was very, very seldom, or crying when they were hungry, and that was it. There was no other noise. There was no other wanting to communicate. Thankfully, they were still very affectionate, but it was just absolutely silent. Xavier especially would enjoy staring at shadows and staring at bubbles in water for hours. We would flip mats and flip toys. We didn't know how to drive a car properly. Everything was just spin, 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 no functional play. We found ourselves once again unsupported as they were growing, and I reached out to T4K and we got everything started. And from the moment I talked to Margie on the phone, I knew we were coming to the right place. I never felt uncomfortable. I never felt like any question was wrong or silly. I felt supported the entire step of the way. I can send a text message at 5 in the afternoon on a Friday and I get a reply right away when, I would understand if I didn't get a reply until Monday morning. This has become home for us, and I know that my children, when they walk through these doors, are given the same love, and sometimes tough love, but we need that, as they're going to get at home, and the same care and attention and the same feeling. They want to be here, and they don't know how hard they're working, but that work continues at home and at school, and they're making such amazing progress.
I can say that they're working a lot more independently. They're able to express themselves more verbally. The maladaptive behaviors have decreased significantly. They're thriving in a mainstream environment, even developing relationships. Their social skills they're just thriving.
Here they started receiving ABA in the beginning. We peppered in at one point feeding therapy, and they have since graduated from feeding therapy, and they've continued to do ABA since 2006. Specifically with ABA, they are finding ways to self-regulate. It will continue to be a challenge for them as part of their autism. Regulating is not easy. So we are now able to say what we are feeling, what's wrong, what's frustrating us, instead of going straight into meltdown, especially in Xavier's case, instead of going into a more violent form of meltdown. He might give you a growl right now, but he's not biting you. He's not hitting you. He's not hurting himself, which is incredible. He may need to be reminded that, hey, you should take some deep breaths, or do you need to roll your die if you can't decide what it is you want to do and look at your color wheel and go, okay, we got purple. Purple means this. He knows that there are options other than the malbehaviors that we were seeing before. What's your favorite?
The white room is to me.
Okay, so listen, where are we going next?
Back room.
Tell me we're going to where?
One thing that I can really say that has definitely progressed over the years is just them being able to socialize and have conversations with others and peers that are their age. Now they'll wait their turn to talk, they'll actually ask more questions, they'll introduce themselves, and those are things that they never did before. Also, they play a lot nicer, like with other kids too, and they look and actually initiate wanting to play with other kids, and that's something that they weren't doing in the beginning when they first came. So that's a big change there. And then with their functional communication, I can say that they're a lot better as far as initiating conversations too, and having like longer conversations with people. as far as asking questions or waiting for someone to answer first before they ask another question. And just waiting their turn. That was a big one with them. Something as simple as just waiting their turn. And now they'll do that. As you can see, I'm waiting. That's something that they wouldn't do or say before.
It is unique here that they're going into clinic for the first time, but I'm still seeing the support as a parent, which I have heard lots of stories about the parents not knowing. They drop their kid off, they have no idea what happens behind the walls, they pick their kids up and they're left to try to figure out at home what it is they're supposed to be doing to help support their child. Here, as parents, we are supported, we have plans, we have access to help through our BCBAs, through our daily check-ins with the therapists that are working with our children on that day. We have support that the therapists will come out to our IEP meetings and be able to give input to say, hey, this is what we are seeing, or this is what we are doing in our learning space. You can carry over into your learning space to help make it a better environment for the boys. So here it's a full team, and it feels like you guys are an extension of the family, because I know that if I have a question, just like I can call my mom, I can call my BCBA or I can ask one of the therapists, and I never am made to feel stupid, which is fantastic. Because I've found as a parent of multiples and a parent of multiples who are on the spectrum that you hit a lot of roadblocks and you have a lot of questions, and people may not have answers for you, but here, even if we don't have an answer, there's support.
Do you mind talking a little bit about, which twin is the one who wears the dress?
Xavier.
I love that, and I love that, you allow them to have that, like, self-expression. That's amazing. So do you mind talking a little bit about that as well?
1,000%. All the time to make sure, like, we are using
the right pronouns.
And if we need to add another layer of support, because if that is an area that wants to explore, I don't know if I necessarily have all of the skills that we would need for that, so then I want to make sure that we got him to speak to the right person if that is something that he wanted, but right now he's happy with he just likes dresses because they're comfortable.
It's a reward system as long as they have 0 behaviors for the session, which is quite challenging for them. This is a highly preferred reinforcer. So what I did was I got little treasure boxes at Michael's and I had them decorated. We have preferred items in there, but they don't know what exactly is in it. So the whole element of surprise keeps them engaged, keeps them motivated to comply during session and work with us. So if the agreement is if they have 0 behaviors, then they can have access to 1 item in here. And so I blindfold them. They can't see what's inside. They feel around. That's okay, but they can only take 1 item out. So this is Xavier's treasure box. And this is Oliver's, which I have to, isn't it adorable? How's this? They're obsessed with cars, like I said, so here's just one.
We asked Gina what her hopes and expectations are for her twins, and any advice that she could offer other parents.
I have to say welcome. Welcome to this unique world that we live in. Never be afraid to ask. You are your child's champion. If something doesn't feel right or seem right, don't stop asking until you find someone who's willing to at least put you in the right direction towards an answer. I think like any parent, my hopes for the future for my children are for them to be happy and be productive members of society. I want them to find that thing that gives them passion and be able to do it and function to the best of their ability, just to make sure they're doing what makes them happy, but still being able to feed themselves and keep a roof over their head and have those social experiences and enjoyment to whatever their level is. They don't need to have what I may think of as the right life. I want them to have what the right life they think they're gonna have.
I like the back room and the white room.
Yeah?
They're very fun.
What about your therapist? What can you say about your therapist?
I like Christina the best. I like all of you guys.
Aw, we love you.
He's so tight in there.
Yeah.
Very big. Is it very uncomfortable?
Not today. Today I'm feeling very, very comfortable.
So, Oliver last week was out ill from school on Thursday, and if he's out ill from school, I keep him home from therapy because we don't want to share the germs. We love you guys, but we don't want to share that kind of love. So Thursday he had to stay home from school, and he was crying because he wanted to go to therapy. So he dropped his brother off, and he was very sad and very mopey. And come Friday morning, we were getting ready for school, and he decided on the way out the door to say goodbye to the cat. And in his goodbye to the cat, he said, "All right, I'll see you tomorrow, Artemis." The cat. And I asked him, "Why are you saying you'll see him tomorrow? You'll see you after school." He goes, "No, I want to sleep at therapy since I missed on Friday." So he wanted to come here and stay because he was not able to come on Thursday. This, for them, has become a second home.
Therapy for Kids rocks!
Thank you for watching T4K TV. Watch more episodes at T4K.com.